The White House said that. That is communist China, man. It's here. It is here. And we better wake up and we better start fighting. We need to make sure nobody's taking my guns. Nobody. We need to make Ohio a Second Amendment sanctuary state, constitutional carry, period.
Amen.
You see down there in Australia, they gave up their guns. Now they're dragging people out of their houses that could possibly have COVID, tracers, and they're putting them into camps. That's what's going on in Australia. This is Nazi Germany. I'm not giving up my guns. I'll go down with my guns.
Yep, I agree.
And that's probably the only reason they haven't started yanking us out of our houses. So it's time to stand up, it's time to fight, and it's time to take Ohio back. And I need you, and we can get this done. So, do we have any points that I didn't touch on? Maybe you have a question, a concern that you've been wondering about. Anybody? Well, that's a first.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing some reading of late, and I heard that, I read that up to 35% of a state's revenues come from our federal government. The way I look at that is impose their control over the state.
Absolutely.
And I think we've seen so much proof of that. Is there something you think we could do as a state to get it to where, budget-wise, we can eliminate the federal government from that support?
You know, we're going to have some fiscal responsibility. And I'm not saying that that's not possible, but with the way that we spend money now, it is impossible. You know, I can honestly say up until January, I had never looked at the budget. You know, the taxes go up, I make the necessary adjustments to keep the lights on and the mortgage paid. That's what we business people do. I never looked at the budget. So I dove into the budget, and what I can say, it's big, it's bloated, and it's very elusive. You can't even follow all the money. That's a problem. We need to make the budget here in Ohio transparent, because it's our checkbook. It's not the politician's checkbook.
That's right.
And anybody in this room should be able to get on the state website. We should be able to pull our budget up, and we should see where every single dime is going. Every single dime. That way, if they're mismanaging, we know where it's being mismanaged, and we can hold them accountable. That's what needs done. There shouldn't be different, you know, we have a general revenue. The general revenue account is the one that they say they're fiscally responsible when they budget that account. Well, then they have the non-general revenue account. Well, that's where all the backroom deals are being done, and we can't follow that money. Well, this needs to change. You know, and I was kind of surprised. We Ohioans, a lot of our tax money goes into state universities. You know, the state universities where they're indoctrinating our children. You know, they start out in grade school, and then they go to college, and by the time they get out of college, they are full-blown indoctrinated. And we see that. And you and I are paying for that. We need to strip all taxpayer money from these universities. They need to stand on their own through tuition, not our money. They should be just like a business. And if some of them go out of business, that's okay. That's okay. Because we don't need no more indoctrination in this state or this country.
That's right.
So let's strip the money out where they're wasting it. I will be good at that. People say, what's the first thing you're going to do? Well, we'll propose a budget. First thing, it'll be ready. obviously we propose a budget, it goes around to the House, they put their stamp of approval on it, goes around to the Senate, they put their stamp of approval on it, and it comes back around to the governor. And then the governor has line item veto. Oh, that's gonna be a good day. A good day. We're gonna need a couple dozen Sharpie pens that day. Nope, nope, no. We're gonna save this state a lot of money. Because I know how to run a business. I know where to cut when we're pressured. We have to get the power back into the people's hands. We are taxed to death. To death. And it never changes. You're going to have to hire somebody on the outside of the outer belt. Because everybody we hire on the inside of the outer belt, it's all status quo. They're going down there for them. I'm not going down there for me. Matter of fact, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to be a career politician. I like feeding cows. I like being out in the field alone. I don't much like a lot of people. But we have to do this. We have to get involved, and we got to take over the system. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
You said one of your biggest concerns is the GOP moving forward. You know, what are you hearing and what are they saying now that helps us understand what they're saying so we can review that?
Well, you know, my gosh, right now they're in a firestorm. They haven't did an audit. The state GOP hasn't did an audit for years. Years. They're supposed to do it every, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. They're supposed to go through an audit, and they haven't. Since January, 2 folks, the chair, Bob Paduchik, and also Dave Johnson, down here in Columbiana County, he's the treasurer. They have written $890,000 worth of checks over to DeWine's campaign since January. They said they haven't endorsed DeWine. Well, yes you have. You've monetarily endorsed DeWine. So they want DeWine back in there. You know, I don't understand. They aren't listening. They're not listening to the people. They're not listening to their constituents. Because we don't want DeWine back in there.
No way.
DeWine last year picked winners and he picked losers. He propped up big corporations while many mom and pop shops, he said, well, no, you're deemed unessential. You got to close your business. You know, some of the heinous things that, you know, I had to shut my restaurant down for 8 weeks. You know, the amount of money I lost in 8 weeks, luckily I had the butcher shop that was deemed essential. I will never close my business down again. I don't care if they take my liquor license or anything else. I don't need those papers on the wall to do business. You'll probably see me on Channel 10 and they'll be dragging me to the jail. But I will never, ever close my business down again. I don't care what they say. We have to stand up.
That's right.
We say no. You know, you can't operate a business, your business, but the Walmart down the street, by gosh, they can operate their business.
Only till 10 o'clock.
You know, yeah.
Help us understand the budget it takes in financing to run for governor and what it takes to compete with the GOP.
Well, you know, everybody, they say, obviously the establishment, they have millions of dollars. I think the last number that DeWine threw out, I don't know, they have $5 or $6 million in their coffer. And I think he could make a phone call and they'd send him $10 more million if he needed it. The deep state wants DeWine back in this seat.
Yep.
because they control him. You see that when he interacts with the Biden administration. He's right there. He's welcoming him in. He's been on various documents of communication with the Biden administration. He is their man.
Yep.
So I scare the heck out of these people. I am very Trump-like.
Yep.
They don't want somebody like me in that position, because they can't control me, I won't be hand-fed, and I'm gonna work for the people. I don't care 2 cents about the politicians or the political environment. We're gonna fix the system. I don't believe, they keep on saying, well, if you don't have the money, you can't compete. Why? Why not? If I go around to all 88 counties and I talk to people, I inspire people, and they get on board and they work as hard as I do, the power of the people and what they do is more valuable than all the money they have in their bank accounts.
That's right.
I guarantee you.
That's right.
I can tell you, I didn't know what to expect getting in this. I'm just a blue working farmer. I know people knew me around my area. I didn't know how this was going to go, but God's working. God works in mysterious ways. He opens up doors that I never thought would have opened. If you drive around this state, you'll see our signage from the Ohio River to Lake Erie and everywhere in between. Some of the establishments, they say, Joe, you can't put signs out yet. You can't do that. Matter of fact, I had that congressman who's running, Jim Renacci, he actually called me. He said, Joe, you can't, what are you doing? You can't get into this. I said, why can't I? He said, you don't have the name recognition, you don't have the money, you don't have the experience. I said, Jim, what kind of experience do I need? I said, do I have to wear a suit and tie? I said, do I have to have an MBA behind my name? I said, do I need to be a polished speaker? I said, one thing I can do is balance a checkbook, Jim. I said, I can run a business. I said, I'm the CEO of my company. I said, the things I don't know how to do in my company, I hire, I put teams of people together. That's what business people, that's what we do. Yep. So, I can run this state. He didn't like that answer. Matter of fact, he doesn't like me. And he's come out in full force and trying to smear me. Here's what I want you to know, and here's what I want you to do your research. You don't even have to take my word for it. Jim Renacci's just like DeWine. He's another DeWine 2.0. If you go back, go to the Heritage Foundation, look at his voting record. He voted for transgender rights. He'll lie to you. He'll lie to your face and say, well, no, you don't understand. I understand. I can look at a vote. I can go on to the U.S. Website and pull that out. I know what you voted for. Matter of fact, he was the only Republican in this state who voted for that. Wow. The only one. He's also voted for stricter background checks. Again, it's not a constitutional conservative, but yet he will tell you whatever you want to hear to try to win this seat. Again, he's a typical politician, just like DeWine. DeWine has never ran a private business. He's been in public service his entire life, and the guy's worth over $55 million. How in the world does that happen? He's as corrupt as the day is long.
That's right.
So, any other questions?
All right, as far as business, where do you stand with tax breaks for startup businesses as well as large businesses coming into this state?
I think sometimes it's unfair what we do. We roll out the red carpet for the Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks. We give them everything, tax incentives with property tax abatements. We really set them up to be successful. Nobody set me up. I started out a one-man shop. I struggled. I borrowed. I put myself in deep debt to get somewhere in life. Nobody has ever come to my business and said, Joe, you've done a great job. You now employ 70 people. We're going to give you some tax incentives. We're going to abate your property tax. Never. The system is unfair. but yet we do that for big business. You know, here's what I can say. I wouldn't be against any business having some tax abatements or incentive if they're bringing in a lot of jobs, and as a loan only, they have to pay whatever it is that we encouraged or we set them up with. After the fact, they have to pay it back to the taxpayers. Because honestly, I feel like I shouldn't be, my tax payment shouldn't be going to propping up somebody else's business. They've never propped up my business. Why should I be working harder to prop up their business? It should be a true capitalist society. You're on your own. You're either going to succeed or you're going to falter. Period.
I do believe we need more incentives for small business, startup businesses that are.
Well, the reason why we don't have, especially small to medium-sized businesses moving into this state, is because of the tax structure. If we can incentivize, if we can make the tax structure in a way that it will work well for these businesses, we'll have all kinds of businesses starting in this state.
Yeah, I had to close my trucking company down after 15 years because of the taxes and regulations here in the state.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to run a business in this state, and we're overregulated.
Yes.
You know, just in my business, I have a liquor permit, I have a Franklin County Health permit, I have an Ohio Department of Agriculture permit, and I have investigators from all three of those entities coming into my business at any time. I mean, why?
BWC, Bureau of Workers' Compensation, is there anything in that subject matter that you'd like to change?
Yes, I'd like to privatize BWC.
Thank you.
I pulled my business out of BWC. We're privately insured, and we go through a PEO. So it saves us a lot of money. We don't have to go through the audits, and they own my liability. So it's a great thing, but you have to have X amount of employees to do that. But I think that should be offered to everybody. I don't think you should have to have a minimal amount of employees to go through a program like that. But our workers' comp, many of these departments are not managed correctly, and they take in a lot of money. Just like our unemployment. You know, DeWine, he mismanaged that. They paid out over $3 billion in fraudulent unemployment claims. $3 billion. Do you think you and I are going to get that money back? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, they mismanaged it. They're going to come back to you and say, well, we don't have enough money in this particular department. We're going to have to raise your taxes to refund it. You know, there's great companies out there that's all they do is manage unemployment. Again, that department needs privatized. They're bonded, they're insured, and if they mismanage our money, we go back to them and we get our money back. We can't go back to these politicians and say, you mismanaged, we want our money back. They're going to laugh at us.